Welcome to another edition of GLP's 10 out of 10. And today we have with us London-based Tupac Martir. Tupac is an artist and the founder and creative director of Sator Studio. Vogue magazine has described him as the visual designer and creative director behind some of the most important events in the world. Tupac lived in Mexico City for 7 years, where he learned the basics of theater design whilst working at the Mexican Opera House and on a whole variety of different events. He then became the art director of MTV LATAM in Mexico before moving to London in 2008 and setting up Sator Studio. He's provided production designs, visuals, and lighting direction for the likes of Elton John, Beyonce, Danny Boyle, Coachella Music and Arts Festival, and the Serpentine Gallery in London. Tupac is renowned within the fashion industry and has worked on groundbreaking shows for Alexander McQueen, Chino, Alexander Wang, and Thomas Tate, amongst others. More recently, he directed and produced the award-winning performative reality piece, Cosmos Within Us. Welcome, Tupac Martir.
Hello.
Right then, let's kick it off. Start with our first question. What was your first show as a designer?
So I was thinking really hard about this. My first show was in this tiny little theater in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico, with I want to say like 8 park cans, and I mean, it got to the point that I actually it was a flamenco piece, and I eventually gave one of the dancers a park can to move and to like dance with a park can while the other dancer was in there, so I could get the right lighting, because it was impossible to actually light that moment. But I had another, actually, when I think about that show, it was brilliant. I did so many like clever things without me knowing that they were clever. And it was actually quite fun. I look at it and it's like, yeah, I literally had 8 park cans. But it was what we did with the 8 park cans and the few source fours that actually made it quite interesting.
That's the point. That's where obviously the creativity comes about, and it's not just it's never about just the technology. It's the creativity makes all the difference. Fantastic. So obviously we mentioned before you've had a fantastically long career so far. Is there one kind of memorable like Spinal Tap moment, bit where it didn't quite go to plan? There's so many of those. But the one that comes to mind, and it's not, I don't know if it's a fully Spinal Tap kind of thing, but there's a building in Mexico that at the time, I'm talking 2003, I think it was opening, and it has something like 100 floors, so it's like, it's high, and we were doing the opening of the whole building. The top floor was like this massive event space where they wanted to showcase how to make an event with us. So we ended up doing this thing, and the night before the show, like the opening ceremony, we were working really late. The security forgot, or no one told him, that we were still up there. And so at around 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, when we finished working, we start calling the elevators. And they are not on. And so there was that moment we all thought, right, we got 2 options here. Either A, we sleep in this floor, because it is concrete way up there. There's some couches or whatever, but we sleep here and we wait until tomorrow morning, or we actually walk down 100 flights of stairs. So we ended up walking down the 100 flights of stairs. Now, I'm not saying I'm the fittest person in the world, but I sort of made it. My assistant at the time, the following day, could not walk. Oh, wow. That's 100 floors is a long way down.
It took us like 45 minutes.
Right. So over your career, what's the best piece of advice that you think someone has given you, either professionally or otherwise?
As designers or as an industry, there's obviously, with all this going on, there's a lot of stress on a lot of designers. There's a lot of stress on companies. There's a lot of stress on people, and sometimes it feels like the night's never going to end and we're never going to see the light of the day. And, you know, and I think it's good to know that everybody's in that position, that, you know, that you're not alone, that that all of us as an industry are taking care of each other whenever needed, you know, and that all you need to do is reach out, because if you reach out, surely, you know, everyone's going to pick up the phone, because everyone has had a moment in which they doubted what the hell was going to happen. And, you know, I think it's important now to support each other, and to know that, you know, that there's somebody there willing to listen to, you know, I will say put an arm around your shoulder, but that's a bit hard right now, and you know, no touching, but at least
a virtual hug.
Yeah, but at least to listen, and to know that, you know, that we are all here.
No, that's absolutely right. Support each other. Be nice, be kind, love, all of that.
Rewind.
Back to our next question. Professionally, in your career, what's your proudest achievement so far?
I'm very, very proud of the stuff that we make as a studio. You know, the stuff that is, I mean, I'm proud of the shows that we do, and I'm proud of the artists that we work with, and the things that we do with museums. And like, I'm very, very proud of those things. Like, you know, I take massive pride on what develops behind this wall. We are initiating new conversations of what is possible in these new mediums, and we're creating new mediums, and that is like, it's fantastic. You know, it fills me with joy to see what, you know, when we create a new work or a new pipeline, just like, when people realize they're gonna go insane, you know, that's the
that's brilliant, because it is that combination of pushing new boundaries and incorporating technologies that haven't been incorporated together before. And it's the creativity that comes out of the studio is pretty special. That's for sure. Okay, we've had obviously a number of weeks now, a number of months now, with a change to our daily routines. What do you normally do in your downtime?
So before lockdown, funny enough, I backed up a bicycle company, you know, like one of those Kickstarters or whatever you want to call it, and they gave me my bike about a month before lockdown, and because of my travel schedule, it just kind of sat in the studio without being built. And then when we announced that we're going to close it, and I was like, well, I need, you know, something easier, blah, blah. So we built the bike. And so most of the times in my downtime, because once again, I don't leave my square mile, you know, like I live in this square mile between my house and the studio, with the supermarket in between. And so I just kind of grab my bike and I just go around the quay. You know, I live in a really nice area of town in London, where there's no really anything, like no roads, no cars or things like that. So I'm able to just go around the water and be by the Thames on my bike.
Right.
And that's and then, you know, and when it's a shitty day, usually I just sit down and read and listen to the radio. I love the radio. You know, I carry the radio everywhere I go. Right.
That's good. As you mentioned, you've traveled across the world, and obviously worked in a variety of different places with the clients and the shows that you've created. Do you have a favorite venue anywhere?
I do, and actually, it's not going to be what everyone thinks. So it's not a big arena or a big theater, or I don't even know if it's a famous place anymore. But I liked it from my touring days of medium-sized venues. And I think I just liked it because it was right in front of Wrigley Field, you know, the Metro, in Chicago.
Right.
I like where the front of house position is. I look how close it's to the stage. I love I remember doing the Feint there, and there was this thing where the band can see us, and because we're surrounded by all the people, you're getting, you know, like you're dancing and sweating, and you know, and obviously the band sees you and they get really excited, and so the crowd gets really excited, which gets you really excited, which then gets you jumping, and then the band can see you so close that they get excited, and it just becomes this really nice cyclical thing of energy that is just being passed around by everybody. And you know, and like I said, it's not probably not one of the greatest venues in terms of what it has in house and all the tech and all that thing, but the sensation of being one with the audience.
Right.
It's something that I really enjoy out of that venue.
Yeah, something special there. So you mentioned about listening to the radio. Now, do you also have a particular artist or a particular, you know, album or a particular piece of music that you couldn't live without? Let's say we had to do this again. Is there what's the one that you take with you?
I would think it's probably the Death Flag. Yeah, it's probably something from Godspeed You Black Emperor.
Okay.
Just right. Because of the you know, they're long songs and they take you through different spaces and moments and, you know, and that kind of thing. And it's yeah, I think it will probably be something from them.
From them, right? Ah, good choice. Good choice. Winding back, if you could go visit the teenage Tupac,
oh God,
and could give one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Pay more attention than you're in economics class. God knows I went through that one in you know, yeah, I mean, I think so. I think it's one of those things of, you know, I went to art school, you know, and unfortunately you know, and I went to a lovely university and, you know, in Omaha, Nebraska, Creighton, and I love my professors and I love my education. I love everything that I learned in that place. But I do think that there's an element of that bit of, they never tell you how to handle money. I think that's the one thing that I would tell myself. Granted that if I saw myself and I heard myself say that, I would pretty much give myself the middle finger. But yeah, you know.
What are you talking about, old man?
I'm going to be a pizza, man. I'm going to be a pizza.
See, the type of youngster that wouldn't listen anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't listen.
I don't think you're unique in that situation. All right. So now, if you could sit down with any one person for, you know, a cup of coffee, glass of whiskey, cigar, something like that, living or dead, who would you choose to just spend a little bit of time with?
Probably there was a Mexican artist in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 20s to 50s, part of the muralist movement in Mexico, called Jose Clemente Orozco, who out of the muralist is actually the less well known to the general public. You know,
Okay.
Diego Rivera is obviously the most famous one.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Siqueiros, who's like the second one, and then there's Orozco. And then you learn that he only had one eye. And so his entire understanding of geometry, you know, and space actually comes from mathematics and breaking down the space about how it's seen.
Right. Interesting. Very fantastic choice. Fantastic choice. All right. And as if, you know, by magic, here we are at our last question. This is a bit of a fun one we threw in to see what everybody says. So in a few minutes, you're going to get a call from the British Olympic team, and they're going to call you up. Now, it could be for the summer games or it could be for the winter games. The question is, what sports are they going to ask you to take part in?
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah?
Yeah, because obviously, you know, so I can't run the 100 meters. You know, right. I can roll them. I don't know if I can run them. You know. There's no chance I'm going to do the marathon. Shot putting is out of the way. Okay. I'm too fat to get on the horse. There's no chance of me going in the pool because they're going to call me Shamu or, you know, something like that. So summer is out of the way. Yeah. So there's no chance. So, you know, I think curling will be my game, you know.
Curling, perfect. Are you going to be the one throwing the stones or the one with the...
Hey, I'm Mexican. I'm so used to doing it.
Tupac, that's a fantastic answer to close everything out with. Thank you so much for your time. It's been fantastic to hear you obviously share your knowledge, share your passion about everything that you do. Good luck with the show you mentioned tomorrow. and look forward to catching up with you again in person soon. Thank you.
Let's hope so, man. Looking forward to it.